Ready?
Yep.
All right, guys. Welcome back to Wise Up, episode 9. It's been a tough couple weeks here in Wise County. Had a pretty tragic event happen over the weekend on Sunday. Dr. Heath Smith and his two of his sons, ages 6 and 8, they were killed in a plane crash. He was I'll let you speak on this a little bit more. You guys talked to some people that were close to him and his family, but, was a surgeon, used his gifts as a surgeon, served on the Paradise ISD school board. Just all around great guy, from what I, got to witness interacting with him a little bit. You want to speak to kind of some people in his circle that you talked to?
Yeah, I spoke with Holly Berry, who was Dr. Smith's teacher and growing up, and then became a coworker. And some things I learned was just how brilliant he was.
Yeah.
From an early age, seemingly could have pretty much advanced up to high school from like the elementary level, but was I think. His brother Landon Smith was a few grades older, and he was taking classes with him.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's just a brilliant guy and like a really like talented person that, chose, like he probably could have been a surgeon at any hospital. He chose to, live in Paradise and serve this area. So, kind of interesting on multiple levels, his passion for his community, and, we see that through his service on the school board, and this was his home, and he wanted to be here, and lost two of his sons as well. It's just a really tough story, and your heart goes out to this Paradise community. He's really been through so much the last few years.
Three school-age children have been killed in the last 16 months, a year and a half. They've been through a ton, have some good resources, fortunately, in Wise County that can, try to help them along a little bit. Beverly Ross and Wise County Christian Counseling, they were out at Paradise Elementary on Tuesday, I believe, talking to, parents and teachers and, students, trying to help them work through this. And the community always rallies around events like this, and I hate that has to happen. You never want it to happen, but, Wise County always shows up, whatever allegiance you have, wherever you live, it doesn't really matter in times like this, which is good because Paradise really, really needs it right now. Yeah.
And talk with Beverly, first it was striking just to, I never really kind of put two and two together, but like those third grade students, have worked with those grief counselors 3 times now.
Yeah.
It's just tough. But one thing I thought was, interesting from talking with Beverly was just that, like, on this trip, they're like, okay, we know that we're going to have to kind of go back, not just to continue because in the past, because they've kind of been here before. They know what it's like to go through this grieving process. And it's not like a one-time, you're fixed kind of thing. It's something you got to live through, and there'll be challenges along the way. And Wise County Christian Counseling is committed to going back occasionally to help out. And they had, I think she called it a comfort room. And this time around, she just said it was, a constant stream of students and teachers that were going in there to talk or share, just kind of sit there and reflect. So, for Paradise, such a great small town. And I think the reaction you see is part of why Dr. Smith wanted to live there and raise his family there.
Yeah, can't say how big of a loss this is. Keep the Smith family, in your thoughts, and there are a lot of ways that you can help them. I think a big local one that's coming up that I hope is a good turnout. Paradise Nutrition and Energy on Saturday. They're giving 50% of all their profits to the Smith family to kind of help them out. So encourage y'all to support local business and support the Smith family by showing up there on Saturday.
Yeah. And then kind of, another kind of weighty topic, I guess. We went to the Lost Battalion Memorial Highway dedication ceremony, basically, at Weatherford College, Wise County. And, like we've probably heard these stories 100 times working here, just covering the Lost Battalion room, just the various, like the reunions and stuff. But, and it never fails to like get me what those guys went through.
Yeah, especially when you see the descendants of the Lost Battalion. I mean, there was one part in the dedication ceremony where I think Carrie Clower asked everyone that was a descendant to stand up, and all across we were in a lecture hall at Weatherford College, Wise County. So many people stood up, and familiar faces in the community that maybe you didn't know, but Randy Singleton and Kevin Burns, they're sons of Lost Battalion members, and you could tell when they were speaking on it. Really emotional day for them, and emotional day for all of us, I think, to some extent. It was super cool to see.
Yeah, I think my favorite thing that came out of that was what Kevin Burns said, Precinct 2 commissioner, and he basically, so first off, to reset, they're pretty soon we'll have signage up on 380 between Decatur and Jacksboro that'll officially make that stretch of roadway the Lost Battalion Memorial Highway. It's something that was accomplished through some recent legislation. Senator Tam Parker, Representative Lynn Stuckey, Representative David Spiller, pushed that through, and started probably with an effort locally with County Judge J.D. Clark and others who wanted to find some way to remark on their sacrifice and the harrowing conditions, and just there are like Wise County heroes, honestly. Right. But what Kevin Burns said was he just thought how fitting it was that it was going to be on that stretch of 380, because most of the Lost Battalion members were either from Wise County or Jack County, and he said they basically tore that road up. They kept it hopping because they would, after they came home, after 42 months in captivity and building a railway. Yeah. And they were a part of each other's lives until the end, and they were friends and brothers, and they were always going to see each other. So I thought that was cool, and obviously Mayor Singleton's had some kind of funny stories. His father lost his leg during his time, and I forgot what
he said. Well, I have an advantage, something along that. I have an advantage when I go to Jack County because I'm 50% less likely to get bit by a rattlesnake.
Right. And I'm sure those are just like, there's such a small fraction of the the boys' stories, the jokes that kept those dudes, gave them hope, that gave them kind of a reason to keep going while they're, it's like you just got your leg amputated by a crude instrument, and you're now, there's no medical care really. So like, if you survive, you survive. If not, like, no big deal. Like that was kind of the, situation they were in, and then they're put to work after that. So, that's what I've always heard, is just kind of how those guys, just their bond, really gave them kind of helped give them the courage to see it through. And now they, when they came home, they were like continued to serve the community. Yeah.
I think Randy's dad worked with the VA, right?
I think it was the VSO, Veteran Service Office. I think it might've been like the county's first.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he was, officed out of the courthouse. And, he took his service when he came back was trying to make sure veterans here were taken care of. So you can really trace a lot of people that are making an impact today to those Lost Battalion members, whether they be family members or people that were impacted by them. So definitely one of the cooler parts of Wise County history for sure.
Yeah, and you can see, we got some photos on Facebook and in the paper of that event, but the mock signs that they unveiled at the ceremony, those are being taken to the Bridgeport Historical Museum. Mm-hmm. So they have an awesome museum there, a lot of cool military history, and so I think those signs are going to be there. So if you want to get a glimpse at what is going to be out on 380 coming up, then give them a visit there. And it's always cool talking to those guys that have descendants or that served and have a little bit more inside look to kind of the camaraderie and brotherhood of, being in the military in tough situations like that. So super cool.
And I think the whole point is, somebody driving through might have no idea what the Lost Battalion is. Now when they're driving through, they'll go, see that sign, maybe look it up.
Yeah.
And that history, will continue through just that curiosity. I think that was a large, kind of driving theme of the ceremony, was just making sure that history stays alive.
Also, when we were out at Weatherford College, Watts County, got a really cool icicles hanging off a bush or a tree photo.
It was a tough. It's hard to capture cold in a photo
especially when there's no snow. Precipitation.
So when you're trying to do stories on the weather, we had to get a little creative with that one. I think they might have left a sprinkler on, honestly. But we had a really long cold stretch here.
Dipping into single digits, staying in the 20s and teens a lot. I'll say I live relatively close to the courthouse.
Doxing yourself?
But I had ice in my bathtub multiple days because it was so cold whenever I was leaving the water running. So kind of puts it in perspective a little bit. I slept in a sleeping bag too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of folks were without power. Tough scene. I think, even, in our office, we had people babysitting pipes.
Right.
Taking shifts with the space heater, basically, to monitor, to make sure, some of their pipes didn't end up freezing. Luckily, it wasn't nearly at the level of 2021 when we had, actual ice and snow and those single-digit temperatures that were just insane. So hopefully we're kind of past it.
Warmed up a little bit today. I think we're getting back down below freezing, coming up with some pretty gnarly wind chill. But we learned. We learned over this past weekend. And Encore, they took care of a lot of the electrical issues. Shout out to those guys. I know it's not great when it's 9 degrees outside and you have to have some equipment replaced, but those Encore dudes are out there. Braving the elements, working to get that replaced. Yeah. So
all hours of the night.
Yeah, shout out to those guys.
First responder status?
Second responder.
Okay.
For sure. Definitely.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's a thankless job, and people only notice when their power's out. They don't get thanked for when the power's on.
Right.
So yeah, it could have been a lot worse. There were some situations where, we had some nursing homes that may have had to go to a warming center or something if they didn't act so quickly and kind of meet that time frame that they originally set out. And it's a bad situation to be without power and when it's so cold like this. But thankfully they got it back on.
And I am keeping my promise. If we do have some crazy snow or ice or inclement weather coming up, I will be live on the scene. I didn't have the opportunity yet, but I promise I will be, and Austin will be here with me.
Okay, all right.
Enough of that riveting weather talk.
Yeah.
Let's throw it to your favorite Wise County sports segment with our esteemed sports editor, Mike McCartney, for the Mike a Minute.
Mike.
Hi, welcome back to the Mike a Minute, talking about sports. Got UIL going to be announcing the new districts in about 2 weeks, February 1st. Decatur Swim is going to be at the district swim meet on Saturday at Fit and Wise. Good luck to y'all. Got a lot of kids that went to state last year, brought home the first state relay state championship, and we're hoping to bring home more relays and some individual state medals as well. Shout out to Decatur girls for the big win over Crum in district play Tuesday night. Boys suffered their first district loss. They're going to get back on track. Got powerlifting going on right now. A lot of teams had their first meet last week. Soccer's in the middle of tournament play, kind of rounding out tournament play. So good luck to y'all this weekend. Boyd Yellow Jackets #1 in 3A baseball after winning the 2023 state title. So congratulations to y'all. And thanks for listening to the Micah Minute.
Thank you, Micah, for that important sports update.
Can't believe you fit it all into 1 minute again. Third week in a row.
Impressive.
Congrats, man.
Yeah, so speaking of important contests, got some contested races. The filing period for the May election has opened. And already kind of seeing an interesting Decatur school board race. I think 6 have filed so far. We got some contested races. Interesting to see Police Chief Delvin Campbell throwing his hat in the ring.
Yeah, got some big local names that are going to get in the mix, I think.
Right. So he has filed for place 5. Got Matt Joyner filing for place 6. Those are two. Those aren't incumbents. Nate Bayless for place 7, and then Holly Ann Petrie, John Bradley Rieger, and Dylan Barnes have also filed. So if you want to serve on a city council or school board, file.
Yeah, for sure.
Now's your time.
I think like one of the biggest ways you can, impact your, if you want to get in like the political realm, I mean, doing something locally that has a direct effect and impact, come to making budgets and, kind of curriculum and stuff like that. So yeah, if you want to get involved, it's a great way to serve.
Yeah. You'll learn a lot.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But yeah, so that's exciting. We'll have our big filing update story in our next paper. I'm sure we got some more races that have already seen some action, but shout out to Decatur IC for posting those so we know about them without having to call a city secretary.
Helps us out a lot.
But yeah, what else we got?
I think our third contested race type thing, Reader's Choice. Oh. Still in the paper.
Maybe the most important election held in January in Wise County.
I'll say it now. It is. But yeah, again, you can still pick up those ballots. Buy a ton. Vote for all your favorite places that you've been to. Write legibly, of course. Know the name of the business. We still have until January 31st. Wednesday. That's a Wednesday at 5 p.m. to turn in those ballots. And remember, that is a hard deadline. So buy a bunch of papers, fill those ballots out, get those turned in.
Yeah. Are you looking forward to your weekend in Fort Worth?
Yeah, going to the big city this weekend. Saturday, going to the Fort Worth Stock Show. A ton of local Wise County kids are going to be out there. Got several from Decatur ISD, got some kids from VCA. I know for sure. I'm sure they're, Bridgeport and Paradise and all those kids. It's a big deal. I've been to the rodeo once, like 10 years ago. But I've never been to the actual stock show part of it.
Crazy.
So I've been to youth fair, got a small glimpse of what that looks like.
Different.
But that's probably
like
nothing.
Thousands and thousands of kids showing animals.
I did learn that at livestock shows, the animals are not in cages. I was really surprised to find that out at youth fair. So I'm more acclimated. You know, I'm a real cowboy now.
I mean, I don't know if y'all could tell. We weren't in ag growing up.
If it wasn't obvious enough. Although he does have some nice boots on.
Yeah. But yeah, I think that was always a culture shock. At least when I started working here, was covering youth fair and then covering stuff like the stock.
It's like a steer brushes up against you while you're hanging over the arena. Yeah, right. Or a 7-year-old kid with a 2-ton animal that's just leading them around. And
they just let we're taking pictures of something. We'll just hop in the arena with some hogs.
Right.
They're just getting brushed by a little, I don't know, whip. Wrong word.
A lead.
I
think a lead. Yeah.
Tapping them.
Yeah.
And that's all. Those kids got some showmanship. They got some skills with that thing.
But it is always cool to see. I think it's a very generational thing. Youth fair and stock show. I can't even imagine how many 4th and 5th generation kids are out there. So I'm excited for my first time. A little bit nervous. I'm gonna try to fit in. I have a pair of boots that I'll wear. I'll probably stick out like a sore thumb, but I'm excited, and I know our Wise County kids are excited too, and they're gonna bring home a ton of awards.
You're gonna wear your Carhartt hat?
Yeah, I do have a Carhartt hat. I don't know, wear some flared jeans or something.
Yeah, like a North Texas smoke hat or something.
Yeah,
there you go.
I'll fit right
blend in. Yeah, so for stock show. Good luck, kids.
Yeah, I think that is all we have for today's episode of Wise Up. Thank you guys for joining us, and we'll see you again next week.